Karnataka has now banned Ola Uber, and there was a whole chaos there, right? So, how are you entering these markets when the government is so against all the policies?
None of the companies talks about profitability or forget about profitability, even break even.
What is the problem that you saw that other players are not able to solve?
The other platforms has been seeing this people as drivers where we look at them as a micro entrepreneur. We were offered almost about 21 crores, one trench, immediate 21 crores. All we said is we don't need the money.
Hi, welcome to Pivot Point with Usha. This episode is for founders building in transportation sector. We have only heard about Ola, Uber, these kind of platforms, but slowly a lot of other founders are also entering into the sector and capturing the market. One of them is Taxina. Taxina has already done 60,000 drivers, more than 2 lakh users in Chennai, and now they are going global with their operations in UK and Australia. So please welcome Pinku, founder of Taxina Mobility. Hi, welcome to Pivot Point with Usha. Today we have Pinku from Taxina, who's building in South India, where players like Ola, Uber has been banned. So let's understand from him till where have you reached with Taxina and how it's going. So welcome, Pinku.
Hey, thank you, Usha. Thanks for the warm intro. Hey, all. Uh, this is Pinku from Taxina, founder, or I would rather call myself a team anchor. And that's basically what I do. And I believe every founder's job is basically that, full-time a team anchor, where we have to anchor the team. And the founding team is always a jigsaw puzzle. You just bring in the puzzle and anchor the team. And that's what I've been doing. And Taxina has been an exciting journey. I'd love to talk to you. So go ahead, Usha, go shoot up. I'd love to answer your questions.
Yeah, I'm also excited to ask so many questions that I have. So, as I said, like last year, amid June, we started hearing things like Karnataka has now banned Ola Uber, and there was a whole chaos there,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Where they banned such bigger platforms.
mm.
So, how did you actually plan to, and dare I say, the courage to still enter Chennai, and I think now you're in Karnataka as well. So, how are you entering these markets when the government is so against all the policies?
I mean, I would rather correct you there. Government is not against the policies. Government wants to have a fair, I mean, they see a problem. Back in those days, ride hailing, yes, it was there in a different format. We used to call it as a radio taxi. When you need a cab, you have to call up a company, and it's always call dependent and limited to the number of people who can pick up the call. And that's how it was. The phone came in about 10 years before, and the convenience crept in. And wow, everyone jumped in, market adapted, everything was great. But again, every problem, there is a solution. And again, there is a solution, again, it creates a problem. So it takes a time for any industry to mature to that level. So we are at that phase where, we are getting to the matured level. And that's when the dust is settling down, where the real problem is coming up. And the problem, what we identified, in the ride hailing is not about the demand, not about the availability of vehicles or the unit economics, nothing. It's all about the drivers who are the cornerstone of this particular, industry.
Yeah.
None of the companies talks about profitability or forget about profitability, even break even to drivers, unit economics. So why do we started talking that, and how did we identify that problem is, as you know, one of my co-founder who studied with us, taken a different route. We all went to do engineering. He took up a route where he took on auto from there to cab, and his growth has been humongous in last 20 years. He's doing good for himself, and he's never been into any platform, but he's doing really good. The key is he knows how to run the business, what is profitability, what is break even to level of, capital B. That's the level he works. So that is missing in the gig economy. So we found out that's what the missing puzzle is. And when you talk about ride hailing, we strongly believe app is just 10% of the solution of what the problem is there. We strongly believe that has to be a big ecosystem, and that's why we are tapping in. And by the way, I would correct you slightly. We are not into big, metros. We are proudly call ourselves as tier 2, tier 3 apps where there's a huge requirement and no bigger players. And, that's where we play.
Yeah, I mean, I right now see a lot of not specific in your industry, but D2C and other brands specifically targeting tier 2 and tier 3 because they see that people can afford these things, people have money to spend on it, and no one else is targeting tier 2 and tier 3
Mm,
right now.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
that's a very golden spot that people are finding and they are targeting, which is giving them huge returns.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the burn is the key part over here is the burn. The burn is very, very limited. And our business model is different. When we go to a tier town, for example, we started with Salem, and then when we are going into Coimbatore, we never go in as a corporate, Taxina, which is basically means taxi Anna in Tamil, taxi brother. And that's how we call. And that's the name of the company, by the way. So we identify Bharats, the co-founder like me, the Bharat, we identify Bharats in different districts who has been there, done that, who has been about 15, 20 years, but they got hit by this technology and they cannot afford technology and they don't have technology. And that's the only limiting factor where, they're not able to compete with the other players. Here we go, talk to them. You know what? You know this industry and I know how to do the tech. Let you be my franchisee phase of Taxina in Coimbatore. Coimbatore is looked as a local player who this particular VS Transit was heading, and his name comes in app. His contact number is the first contact number for the drivers, and that's how we go in. Let's join hands together. I'll give you the tech, you give the industry expert, and let's go together. So that's how we go district by district. So our distribution model is completely different from the other bigger players that we are talking about.
Okay, and so you started from Salem, and when did you think about that we should also start our operations in another city?
See, I mean, when we started we wanted to do a product, it journey begins 10 years before. We just didn't jump into the problem, or just because I've been running a software company for almost about 15 years, just because I can do it, I didn't do it. And most of the founders, we find this, why did you get into this? Because I can do it. uh, doesn't mean that you have to do it. There has to be a problem where you can come up with a solution. And this has been a bigger uh, chase for us for past almost about 10 years. Myself and my cousin brother Vail Murugan was my co-founder. We went out, we educated ourselves starting from human centric analysis, HFI, doing a certification there, and ISB product management with the ISBs, and he went on to do Duke Inters. We educated ourselves. Then
Mm-hmm.
we were, trialing, testing different products, small testers, and then we were like topmost mentors in ADP list in product management as well as with the user-centric analysis. And that's when we were looking for a problem, one big problem where we can get in and solve. Mm. And we believe technology is just a part of solution,
Yeah.
and there is a bigger play into that. And that's when we build a complete ride-hailing ecosystem. So that's how we went into it. Salem, we started in 2023 November, and we just didn't start it over there. And when we decided we are going to solve this problem, about a year, about 10 months, we moved ourselves to the B town. We lived there. We were on roads with the driver, and build a product really quick MVP, and made sure we just added 40 drivers and doing just about 100 rides per month, slowly, steadily, discussing feedback. And we even go to customers, meet the customers, drivers, and that's how we build the product, make sure we hear the market, build it up. And that's when we, started scaling up in 2024, July. That's when
Mm-hmm.
our pre-series raise was there. And so we kept a low profile almost for 6 months into the market. So
Yeah.
that's how we do it.
So you talked about a lot of things, and one of that was so you have already onboarded more than 60,000 drivers,
Yeah.
right now. What is the problem that you saw that other players are not able to solve? What you saw, and you thought that no, this is something that I want to solve for.
Okay. It's just the perspective. The other platforms has been seeing this people as drivers where we look at them as a micro entrepreneur. Okay, we don't go and talk to them and say that get into this platform. This is a ride hailing platform. No, we always say that the narrative is different. And our outlook is he is a micro entrepreneur who has put in about 10, 12 lakhs investment, getting a cab. So join my platform, join my ecosystem. I will show you, take you to the profitability. And by the way, we never force all the drivers to ride only with our platform.
Okay.
Our fundamental is this: it's your vehicle, your business. We are there to help you. Ride with Taxina if it is profitable. Ride with other players also. But this is how you got to run your business to make sure you're profitable, or else there's no point in running the business. And that's the key between us and other platforms. We see them as micro entrepreneurs, and that's how we coined the term cab pruners, and that's how we call them. So
Oh,
that's a key difference.
yeah, that's interesting. And one of the challenges that I see, the founders who are building in your space is creating a trust in people that they can use the cab
Mm,
and it would be safe. So, how
mm, mm.
did you actually do? And I think right now, how many users do you actively
Oh,
have?
we have about 2 lakh plus users, and we are doing about 15 to 17,000 rides per month. And in the B town, that's where, one of the key of going into tier two, tier three is the brand loyalty. You don't get it in I mean, we do have it in metros, but not to the level of the B town. So I go in there, and this is how we talk to the drivers, we acquire the drivers, and the founding team. I'm talking about the who owns certain percentage in the company is a driver, Bharat. So they know his face, and there is a representation of this particular guys, this particular persona in the top table. So they trust us, number one. And number two is, as I said about the local franchisee, again, people in that particular locality knows this particular guy. For example, in E Road, I'm talking about Gugan Travels. He's been there almost for 10 years. Everyone knows about Gugan Travels. So he is the face of Taxina. So when you open up the the app over there in E Road, it shows up Taxina, powered and monitored by Gugan Travels. And the first point of contact for the drivers is this particular office. That is again the Taxina's office, run by my franchisee. And in B towns, multimodal, we're talking about app, we are talking about phone booking, and we are talking about three-wheelers to 54 seaters. Everything is available in one umbrella, and that's key.
So, when you spoke about, moving to another city and expanding, let's say you have to, let's say, enter into a new state.
Mm,
Uh, what are few of the things like because it's difficult, right? The kind of model you are working in, let's say Chennai, um, how much of it would be replicable and how much
mm,
of it you really need to research about the new place
mm,
and
mm.
then launch. So how do you think about that or plan accordingly?
That's interesting. We are just setting foot in Andhra and Karnataka, and to be honest, that is the fundamental of Taxina. We set out, the bigger players. It's just adoption. Most of the products which is built over in US for US people just get adopted here. And India is a land, as you know, every 100 kilometers, the dynamics changes, complete
Yeah.
change. So we set out to build a product. I'm talking about the product, and then let me come to the business model. The product is built in such a way, it's a Lego model where everything is customizable as per the region. I can just customize this particular product from pricing to the ride booking algorithm to everything for one geolocate to another geolocate, district after district after district. So if at all I wanted to add up Karnataka, I'll just add particular Bangalore. Even in that particular zone, I can add in and I can customize the pricing to everything. That's how we build the product. And
Mhm.
with respect to business model, when we are going to Andhra, we just don't land up there. There is a channel partner who's been running a business, and all he needs a tech. He desperately wanted to get hands on the tech. We
Yeah.
partner with them, and thanks to Startup Singam and all the visibilities, we are known all over the India, and we are the only platform like this available. Ride hailing SaaS platform. So if they come to us, we go, we analyze them. We just don't onboard everyone. They got to, there is always a dipstick analysis for the channel partners. So we come in, and as I said, we build the product. I can customize it to the level of, street and, even to the house level. But that particular locality, the insights, the intel needs to come from the local ground. And that's when this channel partners come in, who has run this business almost for 20 years, who is the better person. So he sets up those parameters, and that's how we go in. We never looked in as Taxina when in Andhra, when we are going to Vizag. It
Mm-hmm.
looks as Taxina and powered and monitored by SRT Travels, and his name comes up, logo comes up, everything is there. So there is a trust over there. That's how we are going in.
That's interesting because I don't really see, companies very open to partnering, because then they also need to put the logos and a lot of other things, a co-branding thing with other players. So
That's
that,
how we call ourselves as an ecosystem.
hmm,
That's a more sustainable model that we can.
absolutely, absolutely. And I think that also helps you grow much faster than any other player.
Exactly. Faster, easier, with a less burn. And imagine this particular guy who's been in that industry almost for 20 years, only few people know it. All of a sudden, his logo flashes up in an app where, 2 lakh users sees it. And, talking about even putting up the birthday wishes of that particular driver. We do have a customization level that when a driver is picking you up, you're on a ride with a driver. We send a notification to you saying that please wish him. If it is his birthday, we'll send a notification. And trust me about, I would rather say, if I look at the numbers, 10 out of 10 passengers has wished those drivers. That's where Taxina comes in. The small, small things, they feel like, and then we urge to say thank you. Taxi, Taxinas, we wanted to thank you, Anna. That's what we trended. So it's nothing. I mean, those means a lot to them. And, that's where we are trying to play, and we are trying to bring into the industry where it matures.
Absolutely. So you have humanized the
Yeah.
driver part that we see in the apps. And honestly, I mean, I'm usually like, I'm very thankful to those people, because of them, the convenience is coming to me. But I really feel how you guys are doing it is really the perfect way of how you do it, rather than just putting it in the apps.
Yeah, it was there. I'll give an example. Let's talk about 20 years before, when we wanted to go to an airport. What we do is we call up a radio taxi. We call up and say that morning 5 o'clock is my cab. The driver comes in. He'll be standing outside. He'll pick my suitcase. He'll put it into the trunk. When I get down, he will get down. He will put out the suitcase, because the pride was his vehicle, his business. So there was a sense of ownership. And this ride-hailing platform was brought in convenience, but destroyed the goodness in the old hybrid system. So we are trying to bring into, a hybrid of both. That's what we're trying to do. It was there. We're just, getting back that system.
That's actually, that shows what kind of founders are building it. I
Yeah.
think those values really shows up in your product.
Yeah. So, I mean, another thing, most important thing, which gives us, there could be 10 other products coming in for ride hailing, and I'll give it to you. You can just build the app in no time. But we are not worried. We are there for a longer game. We are going to be sustained, because the fundamentals that we build in, as I said, app tech is just 10% of the solution. So there's a bigger play in that. So that's why we are going in. And it's going to take a long time, but we are in for it.
Absolutely. And how was your investment journey like? When did you realize that no, right now, I think we should start raising funds because we want to, go to,
Mm,
let's say, next level.
mm. See, I mean, we started the operations in 2023 November, piloting, typical. We take one step at a time, and then about July 2024, that's when we went into the market, and we raised about 50 CR. I mean, wait a minute, 3 CR at a valuation of about 50 CR valuation, and that's how we raised in a Shark Tank show. And we are very clear that we will raise what exactly is needed, nothing more, nothing less. And we had a plan, exact runway for about 18 months. And this is what we need to do. And we had a plan set out, and that took us, normally for the people, pitch deck takes a lot of time. For us, the plan took us about almost 1.5 months, where we set out. And we were very clear that we need to achieve these numbers. And that's how the projections came in.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, from then on, the pace picked up. We were in one district. Now we are in about 7 districts, and yeah, 40 drivers to about almost about 60,000 drivers.
Amazing. And so when it comes to the ask of how much a founder should be going out to raise X amount, how do
Mhm.
you determine that? Because I honestly see a lot of founders just raising, even let's say when they need just 1 CR, they would be going for 3 to 5 CR. When
Mhm.
investors ask them, how are you going to utilize it, or actually, do you need this amount? Answer is no, right? Because investors can see through. So, how
Yeah.
do you determine that number?
Oh, see, one thing we identified early is investors are very, very smart. They know they are not just people with money, they are people with brains and money. Okay. So
Yeah,
you can't just fool them. Be honest, straightforward, and give them the real-time commitment. That's what they'll see through. That's exactly the word you use. So we go on a fundamental that this is what the plan is. For example, I'm going in for a raise of about 8 months runway. I calculated on the spend, burn, the fixed cost and everything. Let's say it all comes to about 1.2 crores. And the buffer I put it together, max I would go is 1.5 crores. Reason one, investor will know once I see the plan. Next is, let's say I over raises. That's when the lethargicness comes in, and there is no fire in the belly. And there was one a, a senior mentor who said, Pinku, just raise what you need. Even if you're offered more, please don't. And that's the reason when in the late, I mean, last year, sometime early, sometime, we were offered almost about 21 crores, where we are not even in the race. The offer came in, it was a beautiful offer. It was like immediate settlement. I mean, one trench, immediate 21 crores. All we said is, we don't need the money. If we, why do we have to take the money? We'll come back when it's needed.
yeah,
And that was hard decision where we have to say no, but we said it. We said it, and we have been very, very humbled and honored. And we said we will take it when we need it. And if I go back, if I had taken that money last year, I guess I wouldn't be this efficient, or I don't think so. I would have gone haywire and
yeah,
probably burnt it out too much. So overtaking, I mean, over asking money and taking it,
yeah.
even if it is offered, it's a risk.
That actually takes a lot of courage to say no to such huge amount of investment coming in.
Yeah. Because you know what? We have a plan, we have milestones set out. Once the investment come in, we have to change everything, work it out, and mistakes happens. And the mistakes are costly, When you up the game, the chances of mistakes is more, and the price that we pay for mistake is more.
Yeah,
And again, the losing equity, when you lose too much equity in the earlier stage.
yeah,
Yeah, we are looking at an IPO level, so we've got to be very, very careful in our funds.
yep. And I think the respect in eyes of investors after you say no
Oh, trust me.
just increases because they know that these guys know their shit. They have planned everything, and that's
I,
why.
I put it up, I mentor a lot of startups as well. I say one thing, my father wouldn't bet money on me. Knowing me this many years, he wouldn't bet money on it. And it's a hard-earned money, right? I mean, they
Yeah,
are in for this game, and we should respect that. And one thing, we are like very open, transparent. And even when they put in the money, we work on the NPS, which absolutely Amazon Net Promoter Score. We work on it, and every fortnight we have a call with the investors, and not just a call. There is a investors document which we just type and we discuss it, and there is, if you open up the document, it has everything from last year to till now, monthly reviews and everything. And most of them, what the hell, we just drag them into the call and tell them what we are doing.
yeah,
And I guess that gives a lot of courage and confidence for us, and as well as for the investors,
absolutely.
because not only we value for the money, we value the trust, where even our own kins won't put the money. Here is someone streaming and putting in money. So once you see that perspective, as I said about Taxina, our perspective has changed. We see them as entrepreneurs, I mean micro entrepreneurs. We
Yeah,
see these guys as like compared to really with our kins, and that's when we respect them more.
yeah. And so when it comes to pivoting, because at initial stages there are so many pivots. So What was your biggest pivot that actually, made you have the biggest learning?
Hmm, that's good. Uh, we thought, I mean, the one thing is about Chennai, we were about the planning and everything. We had a plan, we raised about 300K. We had a plan that we'll go into about eight uh, B towns, conquer one by one, one by one, one by one, then come after to Chennai after 2 years.
Yeah.
But then, with all the glory and everything, all the news that we are in and all those things, there was a Ola Uber strike happened here, and we all of a sudden we are on news. Please everyone use Taxina and everything. We got like, wow, great, let's use this opportunity, and that's when we tried penetrating into Chennai,
Hmm.
which is not a part of our plan. We tried to pivot, but within 2 months, I understood that you got to have at least, to be honest, all honestly, at least 60 to 70 lakhs and sustained spend of about at least 10 months to make a dent. And within month, 5-10 lakhs won't cut it out. There is a spike, again, drop out. Boy, oh boy. I said, okay, we'll do only B2B. We got to revert back. Because not only we listen to market, we listen to data. The data doesn't lie. And it doesn't matter you have so much data, you got to understand what data speaks. And it's most of the time it's like ugly truth, which we don't want to hear. And we listen to that. Then we said, okay, we'll come back to that after Series A. Let's keep it only to B2B and these kind of services in Chennai, and
Yeah.
let's go after the B towns. And
Yeah.
biggest learn fast, and accept it, move on rather than go and fight it.
Absolutely. That's what they say, fail fast, and that's how you
Yeah.
succeed.
Build fast, fail fast, and survey fast, and that's a and data. We even though we are startup, we didn't build this as a startup from user engagement to my MIS is almost about 120 points MIS that we look at it every day. And most of the time, I hate looking at it because it says the truth, which we don't want to hear.
Yeah.
But it's better that we hear the data.
Yeah. When you talk about MIS, what are the other data points that a founder, like even before raising, they should be ready with and they should have up to date so that they can finally go out and start raising?
Okay. You don't have to go to the MIS level, but you got to be absolutely sure on your plan. For example, let's say you're going to raise for 12 months runway, your
Yeah.
plan, your burn, your milestones. I would rather say the plan, you know, and there is a story behind it. Why do you plan that way? Okay. Not only the document, there has to be a story attached to it. Next, let's talk about your burn. Why do we have to burn it? And what is the outcome? Your milestones. And
Hmm.
most importantly, the cash flow and how you're going to manage the cash flow. And you need to know this. There is no excuse. And most of the founders, I say, I'm not good with numbers. No, I mean, I'm not good with math. This has nothing to do with math. This is just a common sense. And there is no excuse for it. As a founder, this is the, I mean, key. And I always, when I go on a talk, the first slide would be the India Pakistan super match, where they hit a six. That particular slide without the scores. And I'll just ask, what is it? I mean, no clue, nothing, no fun. It's just a six or a catch or anything. Next slide, the score comes up. That's how you got to see the business. Without that, there's no fun in playing, right? I mean, even
Yeah.
the most loved cricket would be nothing if you just hide that bottom part and, just look at it for a over. It's just boring, right? So
Yeah,
there is no
that's
excuse on this particular and your plans, your
hmm.
milestones, and your burn. And milestones normally overcommit and underachieve rather than this undercommit and overachieve. That's a plan.
Yes, absolutely. And that was a great analogy with the cricket going on with the
Yeah, trust me,
scores
no.
without the
You
data.
you should try it once, once you just turn it on, just hide the scores.
Yeah,
It's like,
it, it stops making sense.
yeah, exactly. That's how the numbers are very, very important for any business.
And since you guys are based on like platform, how is AI impacting specifically you and your whole industry?
Mm. Incidentally, there was a talk yesterday I was giving about the AI. AI is a beauty for, I would rather say, decision thinkers or decision makers, when you're talking about strategy and everything, you have no idea how beautiful the AI has. I mean, for ourselves, a Taxina, we we are using for a long time, ChatGPT, even in the beta stage, when they were even trying a Van Western of price sensitive analysis, we are using it. And we have built back in those days itself, we have built someone called Neo. There is a GPT which we built Neo as a co-founder of Taxina. I can just throw in Neo, you can ask all these questions and he will answer it. So we basically treat him as a person, and that's how we made use of him. And running a company, he has been pivotal and taking decisions. The information that throws in, it makes my job much more easier, gives me option A to option B. So I don't, I basically see him as a partner. That's it, unpaid partner, and only paying it very little. But boy, oh boy, it has helped a
Yeah.
lot. And even testing it out, for example, a feature needs to be tested. Now the vibe coding is the thing. I come from old school, I've been running for 20 years and I know how much time it would take. It's like within few hours, the feature is pushed out and, we know what the results are. And tremendous impact in the company as well as the way we work. As I said, it's now the need is the decision thinkers, not decision makers. Even AI can make decisions, but you got to have a strategic thinking. For
Yeah.
me, it's awesome. Loving it.
Yeah, I think founders are enjoying ChatGPT and all these platforms
You no
much
idea.
more than, and obviously you handle the tech also, so you are much more into it than other founders in your team, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Because,
everyone are myself, Whale, everyone are big time, I told you, right? I mean, I can throw you my GPT, which is Neo. You can ask all these questions, he will answer even better than me. So,
yeah, yeah.
and
So what's next for Taxina? And how does like next 6 months or next 3 years look like for Taxina and for personally you, Pinku?
oh, to be honest with you, it's exciting. Not 3 years, I'm talking about 10 years. That much road plans that we have. We are not here for only ride hailing. We wanted to revolutionize how the people move from point A to point B. That's what our bigger vision is.
Yeah.
And about our product, let me take a product, company, as well as personal. Okay. About the product, it is, as I said, one-stop solution doesn't work, so we have customized the product in such a we have built it like a Lego blocks. And that has played to our benefit because everywhere where there is a monopoly of Uber, probably a duopoly everywhere the ride hailing is, everyone who's been in that industry needs just a tick. They know house and everything. So outside India, we are going in as a white label, and with there is a company Dash Cabs in UK, which
Yeah.
is London-owned ride-hailing cab. We have a partnership with them, so we are giving a white labeling platform. And Taxina Mobility Private Limited own 35% of that particular company. That's a deal. We export the software services, and the same they are going to fight against Uber and Bolt in UK. And again, it is run by the local the association, which has about 76,000 cabs. They already signed and just waiting in for aggregator license. In
Yeah.
Australia, we are going in as with about 45% owning in Aussie Go, a company in Victoria State, and they got the aggregator license, and they are going in there. And talks are on for Sri Lanka, Malaysia, and everywhere. So that's white label solutioning for us, and we are able to do it because we build the product in that way. It's customizable, even talking about the subscription engine to ride hailing engine to everything. That's one. And with respect to the company, yeah, we are in a pre-series A. We are raising about 3 mil at a 250 CR valuation. So yeah, and then we wanted to touch at least 80 district within a year
Mm-hmm.
and then move on to a series A. And we wanted to raise a series A within about 8 months time. So we'd be on a rapid expansion from now on. So we're done with product market fit. Our solutioning works, and we have shown revenue not only in riding. And the biggest uh, business model of us is our revenue not only comes from the subscription, and we have a common saying that we don't make money from the driver, we make money off the driver. We give them insurance to, the advertising platform to everything. So there are multiple teams, and we have shown the potential of each and every revenue streams, and now we have it. So in a rapid expansion mode, that's what we are trying to do. In next 1 year, it's going to be very exciting, from about 7 district to about almost about 70 district. And personally, I'm enjoying every bit of it. And who wouldn't? The four best friends, we have been friends for almost 20 years, working together, fighting, throwing stones at each other. So I always play a video which is, shows a journey. And that's what I treasure the most. I'll share the video with you. Probably you can add it. And if you ask me one takeaway, it's the journey. It's always saying, right? It's not the destination, the journey. I'll send you my journey with friends and, on the roads, fun, excited, and yeah,
And that's
good to go.
also something for you personally.
Personally, nah. I love teaching, and I would love to get into teaching. So I go and take classes nowadays. So I would spend more time on that, especially the B schools and everywhere. And it's so fun. And I mean, myself, Whale Murugan's only getaway. We, as they famously say, there are only two modes for us. One is we are in office or outside office, work all the time.
Yeah.
But we cleanse ourselves by going and taking classes, and we co-found, small students. Along with the students, we co-found on small products that we work. I'm co-founding another two products with the students, and trust me, it's fun. They come in and they bring in a good energy, and learn a lot from them. If you talk about AI, you got to talk to the students. Boy, oh boy, they are like, we are at that level, and they are top notch, and it's scary. We need to compete with them, but it's awesome learning and
Yeah.
fun. If I have to do it again, all over the journey, again, start another company, start the journey again.
You'll
And
do
I
it.
guess that's what everyone are doing. I guess Zoho to, Ritesh to Bhavish, everyone, once you have the kick of this to reach to the
Yeah.
level, all you do have to do is do over again. You wouldn't do anything different or any other thing rather than doing it all over again.
Yep. That's true because after my last product, I whenever I'm talking to founders, I have so many ideas to again start building because that feeling of that whole journey, the whole rush, and like
Journey, yeah.
you're doing things very fast and you're learning, you're implementing. So that whole thing is so exciting. I mean, it takes hell lot of time, energy, physically, mentally, but it is hell exciting.
Yeah, it is. So I don't think so. Money can alone bring it, and
Yeah.
and imagine this doing around with your close friends, 20-year-old, 20 years buddies and everything. It's fun, and it's much more easier because they know my strength and weaknesses. We hold each other, and there are times where I literally can't make it to office. They'll be like, "Okay, cool, chill out. We'll take it from here."
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pinku, for taking out time, talking about your journey, and sharing your learnings so that other founders can really learn from it and avoid those mistakes. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Bye. You have a great day.
Thank you so much for watching this. Hope this would have helped you, made you understand what kind of challenges this sector has if you are building in one, and also how you can raise investments if you are already in the sector. Thank you.